Good afternoon there. This is the afternoon shift. It is Thursday, November 13th. I'm Adam Llorens. My co-anchor and colleague Max Fuller is taking care of a family matter right now, but I am pleased to be joined by our esteemed producer, Grace Henry. Grace, what is going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. We have some interesting stuff that we're talking about today. So I'm excited to hear some perspectives of what's going on. Like, there's some foodborne illnesses that are really scary. Stuff with the government shutdown, kind of explaining what's going on with that. So we're gonna have some really good guests today. But how are you?
I'm good. It's good to be with you. This week has been kind of flying by. It feels like we've been talking about this government shutdown thing now for weeks. It ended last night after 43 days. Absolutely insane. And Grace, I know one of your friends, Professor Kathryn Pearson from your alma mater, the University of Minnesota's Department of Political Science, will be joining us to kind of break down everything that happened and everything that's going to happen. It seems like this government shutdown thing is more of a Band-Aid than a cure-all. Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, this only lasts until the end of January, I believe. So I think there's going to be more negotiations. We'll see. I know there's been lots of discussions around healthcare. I think that still needs to be resolved in some way or another. But in the meantime, I'm happy that workers are going to start getting paid, and that SNAP benefits will be reinstated. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out and the timing of everything. But yeah, maybe I'm hoping Kathryn will be able to provide a little more insight into all of it.
Absolutely. We're looking ahead to that in today's show. Max had the chance to talk to two hockey moms from right here in Minnesota. I heard that it was an exceptional conversation. So we're going to replay that conversation that took place this morning later in today's show. Also, we're looking ahead to a huge football weekend here on Fox 9. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, they are traveling all the way to Eugene, Oregon, and taking on the eighth-ranked Oregon Ducks tomorrow night at 8 Central right here on Fox 9. We're going to be getting a little bit of a preview of that game, as well as the Vikings' huge divisional matchup against the Chicago Bears this Sunday at home at noon on Fox 9. I think pregame coverage here on Fox starts at 10 a.m. So we're hoping to bring in Dawn Mitchell, one of our sports anchors, to chat about all of that as well. Bone marrow, it's something that's been in the news. People looking to get matched to appropriate bone marrows. We're going to be talking to a specialist on all things that later in today's show, as well as food safety. There's been some recalls on some baby formula products, also recalls on frozen pre-cooked pasta dishes. We're going to be talking to somebody that can explain everything that's happening and more as it pertains to that. Like I said, so much happening here on the afternoon shift. It's a jam-packed show. Before we get into all of that, I want to promote our Instagram account. It's at afternoonshift_Fox9. There you see it right there on the bottom of the screen. Drop us a follow, please, if you will. We're putting out good content there every single day. And, of course, we love it if you're joining us right now on fox9.com and the Fox Local app. Just understand that we also have a Fox 9 YouTube page where we stream the afternoon shift live every single day. You can go to youtube.com, search Fox 9, go to Fox 9's page right there, and we are there live every single day from 3 to 5 Central Time. You can catch us anywhere in the world. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can see us right there. Let's get into some headlines before we get into today's show. Yesterday, the city of St. Paul held a gun violence meeting, and basically what happened was they adopted a comprehensive gun violence prevention ordinance which bans assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines. It was passed unanimously by the city council. This comes after state lawmakers and city leaders called for stricter gun control laws in the wake of the Annunciation Catholic school shooting back in August. St. Paul is the first Minnesota city in a coalition of 17 cities to adopt a gun prevention ordinance. It joins Minneapolis, Golden Valley, Minnetonka, Richfield, and Rochester, and several others who are hoping to adopt a similar measure. Of course, this is one of the big pieces of legislation that outgoing Mayor Melvin Carter wanted to see implemented, and he will get to see it implemented as it's in now before the end of his tenure in St. Paul. So that's what happened in St. Paul yesterday. Today, we're looking a little bit nationally here, and we're wishing one of the best actresses in the world, Whoopi Goldberg, a very happy 70th birthday. She's one of 19 people to achieve the EGOT, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and a Tony. Grace, this is like a really special group of people. We were talking about it earlier. I mean, is this like, in terms of entertainment, this might be the rarest area that you could possibly be in, yeah?
Oh, 100%. I think it's something that, you know, a lot of people want to achieve, and like only 19 ever have, and Whoopi being one of those. I mean, she's really done it all, and now she's been on The View for years, and I think like maybe my generation, that's probably how we know her best, because a lot of her bigger movies came out in the 90s. You know, Sister Act, we were talking about, Ghost. What were the other ones? I can't remember it.
Yeah, Ghost was her one Oscar win. She won the Best Supporting Actress for that. Her biggest film, I would say most people would consider, was 1985's The Color Purple.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She had a starring role in that. She fell just short in the Academy Award for Best Actor that year with The Color Purple. But Grace, you bring up one of my favorite films, Sister Act. Of course, I think one of the best sequels to any film of all time, Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, which starred Lauryn Hill of Fugees fame, among other actors that were in that movie. It really was so great, and Whoopi was just so perfect in that, and really has kind of been doing it now for 40, 50 years and touched so many generations, to the point where, you know, even people in your generation, Grace, they know her from TV, and then people from another generation might know her from the big screen and from Broadway and whatnot. She's kind of done a little bit of everything.
She's definitely an icon, that's for sure. I mean, I think probably my first exposure to her, and this might be, you know, not everyone's first exposure, was like she was in The Lion King. She was.
I forget about that.
You know, and
You're
like
right.
That's another thing where she's gonna live on for like just that's such a timeless film. She's gonna go on for. Everyone's gonna know who Whoopi Goldberg is forever and ever and ever.
Was she the voice? She was one of the hyenas.
I think she was. Was she Rafiki?
Or
No.
We got to look that one up.
I don't think she was. She was a hyena. You're right. Yeah, Paul's. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, Shenzi, the hyena. Yeah, that's a great callback to The Lion King. I forgot that she was a part of that movie too. So just a really crazy accomplishments that she's done over the course of her life. So Whoopi Goldberg, wherever you are in this world, we're wishing you a very happy 70th birthday today. All right, like I said, there's lots of news to get to, and the biggest news of it all today is the ending of the government shutdown. It lasted 43 days, the longest government shutdown in United States history. Coming up right after this commercial break, we're going to be talking to a professor from the U. Her name is Kathryn Pearson. She is from the University of Minnesota's Department of Political Science, to talk about the government shutdown, why it took so long to get to this point, and why that this shutdown ending is a little bit more of a Band-Aid than an actual solution. The government is only going to be funded through January 31st of 2026, roughly 75 days from today. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more with her right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. The afternoon shift is just getting started. back to the afternoon shift. The record 43-day government shutdown came to a conclusion last night when the House passed a funding bill and President Trump signed it in the Oval Office. Here to tell us more is University of Minnesota political science professor Dr. Kathryn Pearson. Dr. Pearson, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
Thank you. Great to be with you.
It's great to be with you, too. Dr. Pearson, there might not be a better person in the state to talk to about this. You wrote a book called Party Discipline in the House of Representatives. You're an expert on all things House. What took the House so long to finally get this bill passed? It seemed like the Senate had passed it over the weekend or on Monday. It wasn't until Wednesday when the House was finally able to push it through. What took them so long?
That's right. Well, the House has been out of session since September 19th. During the shutdown, the Senate was in session for many of the days, continually voting on the continuing resolution, and the House had just been out of session. So it was really senators that brought this shutdown to a close, and then many House members needed to get back to Washington. Of course, there were flight delays, and so that's why it took a couple of more days for the House to come over. But it was really, the Senate that worked out this deal.
I think there's probably a lot of people at home wondering, why was the House out of session for 50 days? This government shutdown was happening. Shouldn't they have been there kind of working tirelessly to try to figure this out, to help people that were missing out on SNAP payments, to help out the TSA agents and to help out the air traffic controllers? Why was it that they were out of session for 50 days?
Well, that is a great question because, this isn't the first government shutdown that we've had. It's the longest. But in previous government shutdowns, both the House and the Senate were in session, in part negotiating, but in part just doing other business. Committees haven't met in a very long time, and there's still a lot of work that the Congress needs to do. And so the House could have been in session as the Senate was during the shutdown, both to negotiate over shutdown-related issues and to just do the normal work of Congress. And then, of course, there was the Democratic Congresswoman Grijalva from Arizona elected in a special election that couldn't be sworn in until the House got back in session, according to Speaker Johnson, though that whether or not she could have been sworn in was certainly debatable, and the House could have come back into session much earlier to swear her in.
I do want to get back from the newest member of the House of Representatives from Arizona, but I'll save that for the end. Just sticking with the government shutdown here. Grace and I, we were talking about before you came on, it seems like the resolution that they passed yesterday, much more of a Band-Aid than an actual long-term solution for funding the government. Can you tell people why this is more of a Band-Aid? Because from my understanding, this really only funds the government for the next 75 days or so.
That's right. So annually, Congress needs to pass 12 appropriations bills by October 1st to keep the government open. It had passed none of those. And so the continuing resolution was just aimed to keep the government funded at sort of the same level until November 20th. That was the original proposal that the House passed and Senate didn't pass. And so this bill that has been passed and signed into law is another continuing resolution through January 30th for 9 of those bills. And then it included 3 year-long till October 1st next year appropriations bills for agriculture, veterans, and legislative branch to pay congressional staffers. So if there is a shutdown on January 30th, it will be 9/12 of the government, because those 3 appropriation bills were included in the legislation that President Trump signed last night. So this very much could happen again on January 30th with most federal agencies, except for those under the 3 bills that have been passed.
What do our elected Congress members need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again at the end of January, that we can just have a normal working, functioning, funded government so people aren't working, on back pay or furloughed or whatnot?
And wondering if they're going to be paid? Well, that is a great question. And so the shutdown occurred because it was Democrats' only leverage with Republicans over the issue of Obamacare, Affordable Care Act subsidies, which expire on December 31st. And so I think politically, to avoid another shutdown, Democrats and Republicans are going to have to come together to sort of work out some sort of health care bill that both parties can support. Whether or not that can happen remains to be seen. Democrats had been saying we're not going to reopen the government unless this is taken care of. and Republicans were saying, we're not even going to talk about healthcare until the government is reopened. And on that score, Republicans definitely won because the Affordable Care Act subsidies were not addressed. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, has promised a vote, but the promise of a vote is no guarantee of passage.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people today debating which side won this. One side that definitely did not win this were all the workers that weren't getting paid, that are working on back pay, that were furloughed. What happens to these federal employees? Are they going to get their full paychecks? What does this mean for them going forward?
They will. They will get their full paycheck. And in fact, one of the provisions of the bill was actually to rehire those that had actually been laid off or riffed during the government shutdown, which is not supposed to happen. So some federal employees were actually laid off. No federal employees got paychecks. So now they will get back pay going forward. But this is just a terribly sort of uncertain way for federal employees to live. And sort of as they think about their careers in public service, my fear is that we will lose skilled and experienced federal workers who just don't want to go through this again.
Dr. Kathryn Pearson from the University of Minnesota's Department of Political Science. Dr. Pearson, like I said at the top, you wrote a book called Party Discipline in the House of Representatives. Can you talk about your time working potentially closely with members of the House of Representatives, working inside Congress? What's it like, sort of the inner workings there? There are shows that we've all seen, House of Cards, among others, where you're kind of able to get a little bit of an inside scoop as to the inner workings of politicians in Washington. What's it really like from your experience?
Well, one of the things that is absolutely dominating Capitol Hill right now is partisan polarization. The two parties have been moving farther apart from one another ideologically since the 1970s, and party leaders have gotten more power during that time period. But what you're really seeing today is just sort of partisan polarization gone amok. Bipartisanship is very, very difficult in Congress. And even in a situation that we're in now, where Republicans control the White House and then have majority party control in the House and Senate, because of the Senate filibuster, the Republicans still need Democratic support for most legislation, including government funding bills. And so that, is some of the issues that Republicans can't just pass any legislation that they'd like and send it to the president, that in the Senate, they do need some Democratic support, unless we're talking about a reconciliation bill, which is not what we're talking about in terms of the government shutdown. So I think partisan politics has always been a factor on Capitol Hill, but today it is just really corrosive, and members of the two parties are just not working together. And the result is, among other things, the government shutdown that we just witnessed.
Yeah, and you just said there that this sort of bipartisanship kind of started coming to a halt in the 1970s. Can you take us back to that time? I'm sure we have some viewers that can remember a time maybe before that when things were kind of working a little bit more fluidly. I'm just trying to think of my own sort of knowledge here in the 70s. You had obviously President Kennedy and his assassination, and then President Lyndon Baines Johnson, and then of course would you say Richard Nixon? Was that sort of the beginning of the time of these sort of hyper partisan politics, if you will?
Yes, with an important caveat that committees used to have a lot more power in Congress than they have today. We think about sort of how legislation is written and how it's structured, and committee chairs and committees did most of the work. Committees, of course, still do some work and meet today, though not that much in the last few months. But for the most part, party leaders just have much more power than they used to, and so they do things in a more partisan manner. And Democrats made some important reforms in the 1970s to give party leaders more power. They sort of did this on purpose to have a more cohesive Democratic Party and send Democratic presidents sort of liberal legislation. Republicans followed suit when they gained majority party control of the House in the 1994 elections by really consolidating power in the hands of Republican leaders like then Speaker Newt Gingrich. And so this sort of interplay between party leaders and committee chairs has favored party leaders for a while, but we're definitely seeing the results of that right now.
I love hearing those names and kind of going back to the history. I love sort of the history of sort of Washington's inner workings. I want to go back to something that you said at the beginning of this interview. You brought up the newest member of the House of Representatives, the representative from Arizona. Obviously, she was a critical swearing in that also happened yesterday. Kind of got buried under the lead of reopening the government and whatnot. But I know that she was a very important part of this this Jeffrey Epstein situation as well. Can you talk a little bit about sort of her importance in that case too?
Absolutely. So, for the most part, party leaders, majority party leaders, have agenda control in the House in terms of what bills come up. And so, Republican Party leaders do not want to bring up the legislation to release all of the Epstein files. There's one way around that agenda control, and it's called a discharge petition. And in order for a discharge petition to dislodge a bill from committee, it needs a simple majority or 218 signatures. And it's really hard for discharge petitions to get 218 signatures because that means that some majority party members have to sign on. And majority party leaders don't want their members to sign on because then they lose control of the agenda. And so a few Republicans had already signed on, so it was up to 217. And so Representative Grijalva is the 218th signature. So it will still take at least a week for the bill to release the Epstein files to come to the House floor because the discharge petition has some sort of procedural requirements of waiting. But assuming that happens, Representative Grijalva was that critical 218th signature on the discharge petition to bring the bill to the floor.
And do you think, you said in a week that everything will kind of go through, do you think that we as the public might know more within the next couple of weeks about this Epstein case and sort of in the role it's kind of playing in sort of the larger political agenda here?
I think that's certainly possible. It also depends what the Senate does. And again, sort of whether or not there are enough Republicans to get over that Senate filibuster. And then, of course, whether or not we have veto-proof majorities in the House and the Senate. I think it will be harder for some Republicans to vote against that bill than it was for them not to sign a discharge petition. Most people don't know what a discharge petition is, but people know how their representative votes on a bill that they care about on the House floor or Senate floor.
That's right. That's right. Dr. Kathryn Pearson from the University of Minnesota's Political Science Department. Dr. Pearson, I just got to say at the end, I've had a number of family members go through Claremont McKenna College, your alma mater in beautiful Claremont, California. It was great talking to you today. Thank you so much for all of this perspective. It really was very enlightening. I would love to talk to you again further, and hopefully we can get you in studio with us here one day too.
I would love that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Pearson. That was a great segment and a lot of really great perspective from Dr. Pearson at the University of Minnesota. If I was 18 years old, I would love to be sitting in a class of hers and listen to her lecture about American politics. Really enlightening stuff there. Really love that. Okay, as promised at the beginning of today's episode, Maxx Fuller, he got to talk to two Minnesota hockey moms. It was a very energetic, enlightening chat. We're going to be airing that conversation coming up right after this commercial. I'm in Minnesota after this commercial break.
the afternoon shift. You know we love moms here. We love all the moms, especially hockey moms.
Okay.
And at the Mall of America, I believe this evening,
Yes.
there's the Hockey Mom Face-Off from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we have the two finalists, Deanna Brewer and Jamie Schnacky. How y'all doing?
We're so good.
So good.
You
We're
guys
happy
are,
to be here.
You guys are amazing. Yeah, like the whole time off the mic, I'm like just concerned you guys are going to take my job now. You guys
Yeah.
are stars.
We might.
We might.
You guys have been training by being hockey moms, but like, what is the definition of a hockey mom to you guys?
Oh gosh, I mean, being a hockey mom is everything. It's heart, it's sacrifice wrapped in passion. It's a lot of caffeine. Specifically for me, Red Bull, shout out. It's early mornings, late nights. It's the coolest thing we get to do, watching our kids chase this dream while playing the greatest sport on earth.
Whatever she just said, yes, absolutely yes. For me, hockey, I didn't know hockey growing up, and when I married a guy who loves hockey, I got kind of thrown right into the mix.
Yeah.
And now it's like my identity. It's a very core part of my personality.
Yeah.
And I raised two hockey players. We billeted one from the UP, and it's wild. It's wild. And it's so great. We love it.
A
There's
lot of
nothing
people
like
don't
it.
know about how intense it is. Like
Oh my
the
gosh.
grind of specifically Minnesota youth
Yeah.
hockey. It's a grind, right?
It's a grind. My son actually was fortunate enough to play Tier 1 last year. Every weekend, we're in Michigan, we're in Illinois, we're in Chicago, we're in Madison, we're in Nashville, we're in Pittsburgh, and you're not home. It's a lot of separation. It is a lot of long hours, but it's the journey, right? Like we stop at a restaurant we've never been in, a city we've never been to. We play a little mom-son competitive dart games to help split up A to B. But yeah, I mean, it's so much more the journey of what we'll have long after the game on the ice is come and gone.
Yeah, I think so much a part of it is like building these core memories, because this is all we do. I mean, it's so much a commitment and so much a sacrifice, but it is so beautiful. And these are the memories that we're going to carry forever, and so will our kids. So we're just trying to make it as cool as possible. And so far, so good.
Right. And that's important if it's going to take up so much time.
For
You don't
sure.
want it to be
Yes,
something that they
exactly.
look back on later in life and it's just like, damn, like
For
my
sure.
mom was working me, you know, so hard. It's
Yeah.
like you want them to have fun at the same time.
For
Right.
sure. And we have a little fun.
Just a little bit. Just a
little
little
bit,
bit.
yeah.
So you guys are on the road all the time, going from
Yeah.
state to state. I mean, you make Carmen Sandiego blush. Like, what are some hockey mom essentials that you got to have with you?
Oh gosh, so Red Bull, #1, caffeine. What is your caffeine of choice?
I am actually a Bloom energy girl.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
every
Shout
day.
out Bloom.
Shout out Bloom. No, as far as essentials go, it's funny because I have a big bag that I carry to every game, every practice.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. and in the bag is more bags of stuff that we need. I am the team manager, so a lot of paperwork is in there. Snacks, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Water
Fuel.
bottles, because we always forget them.
A blanket.
A blankie, of course,
Yes.
because
Oh, those-
it's freezing
They get
cold.
cold. It
Cold.
gets
It's
cold
cold.
in there, right?
Heated vest.
I do have.
Oh, wow.
#1 for
one.
me.
Really?
Need it. Yes. Warm socks.
So Warm Sock stadium
Yes.
seats. We have
Oh,
those.
yes.
Okay.
Little cushion
Little cushion.
for
So
the tush.
It's just like you learn over time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because at first you probably just went out with
But
nothing and
9
thought it
times
was
out
all
of
good.
10, I forget whatever it is I'm supposed to be bringing because we're making sure our kids aren't forgetting their
Right.
feet if they weren't attached to them. I mean, my
For
son
sure.
would forget his socks if they weren't on his feet,
For
without question.
But that's just how important like hockey moms are to the whole hockey universe, right? Big and small, the pros and
Yes.
the little ones, right?
Yeah, and we're hoping we can do this for as long as this journey allows us to be a part of it.
100%.
Brag about your kids for a little bit. Tell us about your kids for a little
You
bit.
go first. You go
Okay.
first. You go
Oh my
first.
gosh, I love. So we're actually only 5 years into our hockey journey
Wow.
because my kids are young. They're 9 and 10. We started them skating in our backyard. My husband, actually our front yard. My husband built a rink outside, and that's where they learned to skate.
Dang.
And they were so cute. It was so fun. So we got through that like initial learning how to skate, learning the game. Now they play full ice 5v5 hockey all year round, and they're awesome. They're totally different in terms of their game. They're 12 months apart. My daughter is 10. My son is 9. My daughter plays the game. She's focused on the skill, the technicality, the rules, all of that. She is very into those specifics of the game, where my son is the hype guy, the showman. As far as like
Mom's
rules,
mini-me.
as far as like rules, he's like kind of whatever. He just wants to play and have fun, and it's very much a social experience for him too,
love that, though.
with his
I love
teammates and
that.
everything. So I just love both sides of it. I love how truly dedicated and serious they are about hockey at such a young age.
Right.
And the more that I can pour into that and support that, the better for me. We gave them a billet brother. We invited a hockey player to live with us in our home for the season as he was playing a higher level of hockey. So they got a big brother out of the deal.
That's crazy.
It was one of the most beautiful experiences, and our family has forever grown because of that. And it just gave such a good example for them to see where they could really go with hockey, because there's so much opportunity and so many different avenues that they could take. So I'm pumped for them. I have fully enveloped being a hockey mom. It is truly my personality and my identity. And I hope my kids can feel that. I hope they know that I am 100% for them. So,
Of course they do.
Well, I'm sure the whole audience can feel it. 'Cause I can feel it right now.
I
It's
just
just
love it.
It's just brimming out of you right
Yeah.
now. How about you? Brag about your
Oh
kids
my
a little
gosh.
bit,
So
too.
I've been a hockey mom for 11 years. You're going to have to cut me off because I could brag about this kid until I am blue in the face. I have been doing it for so long. I mean, since he was a 1-year-old with the mini hockey stick, and he is now in the midst of high school tryouts. He is a freshman. He is 14, 6'4" tall.
Damn.
So when
He
I
needs to be
tell,
hooping.
he's
Forget
been
hockey.
told that so much.
Yeah, right.
But when I
The
tell
Timberwolves
Jamie,
could use a center.
oh my
Right.
gosh, yes, so true. But when I tell Jamie to soak it up, I mean, when they say it goes by fast, it goes by fast. And I'm not going to get emotional, but it's everything we have encompassed around him. He is, he's playing elite level hockey. I could tell you about, the overtime winner on Mother's Day. I could tell you about them winning the state title on his birthday and him
about
carrying
it.
the
Let 'em
points.
know.
yes, tell them.
It's really not about that.
I know.
mean, it's truly about the journey, like I've said. And it's just, I hope one day he calls me on his way home. Again, not going to get emotional, for bringing his kid to hockey and says, you did all this for me. Like,
Wow.
you took me and did, and I hope he looks back on his childhood and he's like, I had the best childhood because my parents did this for me, and like, I'm so proud of him, and we are hoping he makes varsity. So fingers crossed if you can, everyone at home.
Go.
Yeah. So.
I love it.
Oh my
I love him.
gosh. You're not gonna get emotional. I'm gonna get emotional. I'm gonna have to pull a piece of the afro. Dab the eyes up real quick. Well, clearly you guys are proving why you're the finalists in the Hockey Mom Face-Off. Can you tell me a little bit about the competition?
Yeah, it's in an hour.
We're so excited.
We're excited. We're nervous. We are the energy mom, so we are
Yeah.
going to bring our A game. We're hoping to make some people laugh. They're going to interview us. We have to wear our favorite hockey mom fit. Look at this cute sweatshirt of
It's
mine.
so cute.
Look
at
That's
him.
amazing.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. We have to, and Lululemon outfitted us because they're phenomenal. So we switched into that for interview. We had to
Amazing.
create a TikTok. Shout out Jim. He directed my TikTok. It is chef's kiss, and it's going to bring, it's going to bring the cows home. Is that a thing you say?
I don't know.
Nobody
I think
knows.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nobody
we're
knows. She says.
Nobody knows. And then I immediately am like,
Yeah, that
Totally.
sounds right.
that's a
That
thing.
sounds
Yeah,
right.
pretty sure
That
that's a-
sounds
So you guys,
right.
I mean, you guys seem pretty close. You're competing against each other.
Oh,
though.
we don't, honestly, we don't care who wins tonight.
Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for Jamie, but I know she feels the same way I do. We are all winners. We love all of the 5 finalists that are there. We have become best friends. I feel like I've won already.
Me too.
So what
And
was the process like to get to the
Yeah.
finals? Like, how did you guys get entered into this competition? What is the qualifications?
Crazy. I actually I went to the World Juniors booth at Wildfest because we're big Wild fans.
Yes, of
and we were at
course. Go
Wildfest.
Wilds.
Yes, and we visited the World Juniors booth because we think it is amazing that
Yeah.
we get to host
Yes.
this competition.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
It's going to be so cool, and I think people don't realize just what a unique opportunity it is to have the world's best under 20 players playing here. So we were checking out the booth, and they had a little pop-up thing for hockey moms, and my husband goes, you need to scan that. And I just scanned it, and we were like on our merry way. And in the middle of the game, during a period break, we were I was scrolling through my phone. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot that I had scanned this. And so I started filling it out. It's kind of like a survey, more or less, just sharing your hockey mom experience. And I did it. I sent it. I submitted it. And I totally forgot about it after that. I was like,
I did not forget about it.
I counted down the minutes.
I was listening to the radio.
Like, did I win?
And I kid you not, there's another Deanna. So I was like, what? Oh, not me. Cool. Like I had like this moment. And then when it finally was, yes. And then they're like, Deanna Brewer. I was like, let's go. Yeah.
I love it.
Did not forget.
But so we, they announced it on WCCO radio and then sent an email. So I get the email and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened here? What do you mean? And I was so excited and immediately got in contact with the finalists that were announced.
Yes. And we have a mutual friend.
Yeah. That's
like
awesome.
hockey is such a small world that we like already feel like we know each other because we kind of do. And so it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And the other 3 finalists have been magic. We are obsessed with them.
Shout out Emmy, shout out Jacqueline, shout out Deanna H.
Deanna H.
Deanna H.
Yes. So it's just a really fun group and these new relationships, new connections, and people that get us. Like we all really understand what we do as hockey moms, and we are so fortunate to represent all hockey moms. I mean, truly, that's the point, is we're the 5 standing on stage, but we are there representing every hockey mom. There are so many, and they deserve so much recognition as well, because
honored.
It's a big deal to be.
Yeah, got to be a little crazy, so I've been told.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down. Let's go. But as far as like the competition goes, we have no idea what to expect.
Really? You guys
It's
have
a
no
surprise.
idea what you're
No.
doing. They haven't even like briefed you guys on anything.
They're basically
Wow.
like, show up at this time. Here's what we're doing.
Wear this outfit.
And then surprise. We don't know.
Oh my gosh.
So
Well, best of luck to the both of
Thank
you so
I think
much.
you guys should both. It should be like a Mean Girl situation where everybody just breaks the
my
crown,
gosh. And then
you guys
everybody
are
gets a
all
little
winners.
piece of it. Yes.
Whoever wins should absolutely do
Yes.
I
that.
love that idea.
Great
I
idea.
love that.
I mean, hockey can't exist without hockey moms. The world can't exist without moms in general. So thank
So
you guys
true.
so much
Yes.
for what you do. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
guys for coming to the show.
Thanks
as
for
well.
having us.
Good luck. You guys are amazing.
my
I
God.
expect you guys' show on Fox 9 coming real soon.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm in.
Yeah.
Deanna and Jamie at the Hockey Mom Face-Off at Mall of America, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. today. Speaking of today, there'll be more afternoon shifts in just a little bit right after this.
Afternoon Shift, a Minneapolis-based nonprofit called NMDP. You probably know it as Be the Match. It has made a breakthrough that can allow thousands more bone marrow and stem cell transplants every year. Here to tell us more is NMDP CEO Amy Ronneberg. Amy, welcome to the Afternoon Shift. How are you?
Thank you so much for having us.
I appreciate you coming on and being with us in studio today. I think there's probably a lot of people at home. They're like, why is bone marrow important? What makes bone marrow so important to us?
So bone marrow is where our red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are produced. So very important. What's so important, though, from patient's perspective is bone marrow from a healthy donor, someone who's on the bone marrow registry, can donate their stem cells, their bone marrow, and it can cure someone. It can be curative to patients who have leukemia, lymphoma, and up to 70 different indications.
So can people just donate their bone marrow and their stem cells? Like, is it kind of like blood in a way?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to do. If you're between the ages of 18 and 35, you can join the most diverse registry in the world. If you go to nmdp.org, you sign up. It's a simple cheek swab. With that, you'll be on the greatest waiting list in the world. And then if you're a match, so a patient in need of your specific bone marrow, we'll give you a call and you have an opportunity to donate. 90% of the time, you're sitting in a chair, you can be watching a movie, playing video games, and it's very much like donating blood. We take the blood from your vein, we take the good stuff out through an apheresis process, and then put the blood back into you. It can be around 4 to 6 hours, but painless, and again, an opportunity to save someone's life.
No doubt, no doubt. NMDP, this is a worldwide organization. It's not just a Minnesota-based thing, yeah?
Yes, we're
Yeah.
worldwide. Our headquarters are in Minneapolis.
Yep.
We are a global nonprofit with the most diverse registry in the world, accessing 42 million donors worldwide.
That's amazing, amazing. And right here in the
Yes.
Twin Cities, you had a big breakthrough that can allow for even more bone marrow and stem cell transplants every year. What led to this big breakthrough?
I'm so proud of the organization and the work that they've done from a research perspective. It is transformational, game-changing research. And so NMDP also invests in research because it's so important that patients not only survive, but they thrive. And historically, there was a huge diverse gap that existed. If you were a patient, a non-Hispanic white, you had a 79% chance of finding a match on the registry. If you were Hispanic, Asian, in the 40% only, and that dropped all the way to 29% if you were an African Black American. And that was not acceptable to NMDP. So we invested in research that taking standard chemotherapy and providing it post-transplant has completely changed things. So now you don't have to be a perfect match anymore. You can have 1 or 2 mismatch. We call it a 7 out of 8 or a 6 out of 8. And because of that, what's so important, even though there's 42 million people on the registry, seems huge, there just was not enough donors to make sure that we could help every patient. Now today, we can say, if you are a non-Hispanic white, you have a 99% chance of finding a match on the registry. And what I'm most proud of, that 29% for Black African Americans goes all the way up to 99%. We have truly transformed medicine.
That is absolutely incredible. And I guess my next question was going to be, what groups benefit the most? I would say people like me and others that don't fit that white non-Hispanic sort of shell there. Those are the groups that are really benefiting the most from this.
Absolutely. Yeah, Adam, you're exactly right. And it really has been transformational. This last year, we were able to help 8,879 patients, with the most patients from ethnic diverse backgrounds ever in our history. And it's all because of this research.
8,879
Yes.
additional patients that were helped just in the last year alone.
In the last year.
Incredible. Can you tell us about maybe some of these patients that you've helped so far?
There's so many. I think Ethan, great example.
There you see pictures of little Ethan there.
Yeah, and patients can be newborns all the way up to 80 years old. And so an opportunity to literally save a patient like Ethan, and an opportunity then to meet Ethan and his family. It's one of the greatest altruistic opportunities we have.
Can you tell us more about Ethan? So it looks like he's very young there. What did he know? Did the family know kind of right from birth that there was something wasn't right with?
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
It can be different for everybody.
Yeah.
It can be, we hear stories about patients like Ethan and others who are going for a normal checkup and find something wrong in their blood test, or it can be suddenly you're just not feeling well and you just can't get better. So leukemia, lymphoma, blood cancers, blood disorders can show up in a lot of different ways. A bone marrow transplant can also help patients with sickle cell disease. Often they know as soon as they're born that that might be a trait that they have. So it really can range different for all patients.
Is this something that you can develop not just as a newborn, but you could be, I'm 33 years old, you could be 33, or you could be 63. Like, this is something that can impact you at any point during your life. Is that right?
Leukemia, any age. Lymphoma, any age, yes, absolutely. And oftentimes our average patient for leukemia is in their 60s. So absolutely, our fastest growing population of patients that we're helping today are over the age of 60. And so again, the opportunity to join the registry, going to nmdp.org, you can save a life. You can save a newborn's life. You can save a 60-year-old life.
Now that we're talking about this, I'm fairly certain one of my best friends from college, his name is Eric, I'm pretty sure that he volunteered for this. He was a match. He lives in Chicago. I'm pretty sure he had to go to Michigan to go get the procedure done and everything. There's probably a lot of people out there, like my friend Eric, if he's watching now, and others that are curious about being a match for somebody, being a donor for somebody, but maybe they have some hesitations here and there. What would you say to somebody that has some interest in this, but maybe there's some hangups that they're concerned about?
Absolutely. I would say do it. Join the registry. It's an opportunity to save a life. And in a world that can be very crazy, it's hard to be able to have that type of impact. It is a simple procedure. You'll have shots for several days prior to the donation, which then really, as we say, kind of makes you superhuman immune system. And then again, it's very similar to donating blood. That easy one day saves someone's life. It gives them the opportunity to spend Thanksgiving with their family, or a holiday, or see their child walk down the aisle, or go to kindergarten. I mean, it's all of those amazing moments that can happen because someone said yes when they got the call to donate.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And literally, like you said, anybody can sign up and donate this. Join the registry. It's the largest in the world. Yeah. Do you know once you sign up and once you go through the process, do you know like the exact person that you're impacting? Like, do you get that sort of information?
Yeah, great question. So if you're between the age of 18 and 35, so if you're matured beyond the age of 35, like myself, although my bone young at heart, my bone marrow works great for me, but we have found with older donors the outcomes aren't as good for patients. So that ideal spot is 18 to 35, and if you're donating to someone in the U.S., there's a 1-year waiting period, but then you can share emails, you can share letters, and then at that 1-year mark, we do one of the most beautiful things. If you have a chance, come to our gala. It's an opportunity to see a donor and a patient meet for the very first time on stage. Go out to nmdp.org. We have lots of those videos if you want a really good cry.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's got to be a super emotional thing that happens when you get to actually meet the person that really helped to save your life and whatnot. And it's got to be like a really impactful thing. And again, this doesn't have to just be like two people from the same city. This could be a person in LA donating to a person in Boston and helping to impact their life.
And it's global, it's worldwide. Yeah. So it's possible that if you needed a bone marrow transplant, your match or your donor could be in the UK. Mm-hmm. And same here, that you could be donating for someone outside of the U.S.
Amy, you're the CEO of NMDP. Why this organization? What got you interested in this? Has this maybe impacted your family or friends closely yourself?
So I was at a point in my life, I had a 1 and a 3-year-old, and I was working, I was a finance CFO, and realized I needed to do something that I was making an impact in people's lives. Children kind of changed that for me, and I realized if I'm going to be away from them, I have to be doing something good. It was at that time that I was diagnosed with cancer during the interview process, and they still hired me. And so it was...
Wait, the interview process for...
For being the CFO at NMDP.
Wow.
And I knew then that, call it whatever it is, fate, that I was given this incredible opportunity to be able to give back to the world. They saw me through all of my chemo, and so I am forever loyal. I am so blessed to be able to work at an organization that gets to save lives every day.
That's, I mean, wow. That's did you yourself rely on a donor to help you in your process?
I did not have a blood cancer. I had a different kind of cancer, but it really helped me appreciate what patients go through and how terrifying it is. Yeah. And so that's another great thing that NMDP does is patients who may be having financial issues, we want them to focus on their health journey. And so we donate, we've provided more than $7 million in financial assistance to patients so they don't have to decide between putting food on the table or getting healthy. And that's another great opportunity if you want to help patients like Ethan, like others, but you're over the age of 35. You can go to nmdp.org, join for advocacy, awareness, or financial contributions.
Amazing. Amy, we probably have viewers out there that are living with cancer right now or living with somebody in their family that has cancer. Your message to them as they're going through this fight, or again, maybe they're just somebody that's really close to somebody that's going through the fight right now. What would you say, if you can go back to that point in your life?
Don't give up hope. If you're going through a blood cancer, we are here to help. We are here to see you throughout your entire journey. We often say at NMDP that pressure is a privilege. The great Billie Jean King said it. And it is a lot of pressure, but it's a privilege to be able to help those in need, and we're here for you.
That's a great quote by Billie Jean King. And I love that. I've told myself multiple times in my life, I really love that. My biggest takeaway here, if you're out there and you're like me, you're between the ages of 18 and 35. I'm 33 years old. We're in our prime right now for NMDP, and we have the opportunity to go help save a life. And it might not just be a person here in the state of Minnesota or even in the United States, frankly. It could be somebody from anywhere around the world. If you join the world's largest registry at nmdp.org, you can go there and you can help save a life, especially in the afternoon shift. We're really trying to cater to a younger demographic here. If you're out there and you're like me, you're in your prime right now to help people really get this match and help save their life. And like Amy said, this new breakthrough research that they had, especially people that maybe look like me as well, 8,879 patients just this calendar year that would not have been able to get a match previously were able to get a match this year because of NMDP.
They were able to find a suitable donor, whether it was a perfect match or a 7 out of 8, but we have had 5 consecutive record-breaking quarters because of this research, and we've been able to help. At one point, we were less than 14% of all transplants were for ethnically diverse patients. This last quarter, we're going to be at 26%. So we are making a difference. But we need more donors. We need donors to join the registry, and we need them to say yes when they get the call.
That's awesome, Amy. Thank you so much for your time here, for thoroughly explaining everything that NMDP does, and for the message out there for thousands of people to join the list. Get involved to help save lives because you don't realize that you can be making an impact just with your own inner beings right now.
Yes, you can change not only one person's life, but everyone in their life and their family and their friends and where they work. And that altruism and the ability to do that is just such a privilege.
Yes, it is. It is quite a privilege. Amy Ronneberg, the CEO of NMDP. Amy, thank you so much for coming to the afternoon shift. This was such a great conversation. We appreciate it, and we'll be checking back in with you until next time. All right.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. More to come from the afternoon shift after this, folks. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. An infant formula recall has expanded nationwide, as well as a recall on frozen, pre-cooked pasta dishes. Here to tell us more is the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness, Sandra Eskin. Miss Eskin, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. We got a couple of things to discuss. Let's start with the baby formula recall. What do consumers need to know out there?
Well, it's very, very heartbreaking when a food that's a sole source of nutrition for a vulnerable baby is contaminated. People need to know that if they have this brand of formula, it's called By Heart, that they should discard it. And they should also, if their baby has been consuming it, watch your baby for the symptoms of botulism. There's a lot of information on the web, and I can give you some more, Adam, if people need to know. But it is very, very upsetting.
Sandra, you bring up the term botulism. Could you explain exactly what that is?
Sure. There are many different types of pathogens, bacteria, viruses that are all over the place, including in our food. Botulism, in this case, it's a particular type. What happens in this scenario is that the pathogen creates a spore that's consumed and then emits a toxin. And that toxin is what causes damage, hopefully temporarily, to anyone who ingests a spore. So it's serious.
It sounds absolutely horrific. I know on the bottom line there, we have some symptoms of botulism. Can you just kind of go more in depth, Sandra? Maybe there's some mothers and fathers out there that are concerned and they're wondering, hopefully my child doesn't have this. What are some symptoms out there to look for?
Again, you've highlighted the key ones. Think of it this way. Again, this toxin attacks the nervous system. So any movement, any responsiveness that your baby is showing that's not normal, and again, they've consumed, in particular, perhaps this formula, it's important to seek medical help right away. So again, it's everything from what you've shown, Adam, to sagging of the face, listlessness, things that just illustrate that your baby is not responding normally.
And Sandra, when you say seek medical attention right away, are you talking about, hey, go schedule an appointment with your pediatrician, or are you like, hey, we need to call 911?
Get to the emergency room. I mean, you can certainly consult with your pediatrician, depending on when you feel like those symptoms began, but it is a serious condition which requires serious attention.
And just to put a loop on all this is products made by ByHeart, is that correct?
Yes, it is a small, relatively new powdered infant formula company, represents about 1% of the market. They have recalled all of the production, not just the batches that the FDA investigators believe might be contaminated, but everything, which is exactly the responsible thing to do.
And where can people find a list as it pertains to infant formula of all the recalled products? I'm sure that ByHeart probably isn't the only one. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, you're not wrong looking over a course of time, Adam. There have been numerous recalls and outbreaks linked to infant formula, most recently a few years ago with big manufacturers. It was terrible because supplies understandably shrunk when we were having issues. But as far as this particular outbreak and recall, go to the FDA website. They've listed the picture of the product, if you're not sure it's the one that you have in your house and you fed your child, and all the code numbers. But again, doing the right thing, the company has recalled all of the products that have been in the market.
Sandra Eskin, the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness. Sandra, let's move on to the frozen pre-cooked pasta. I understand that there's a listeria risk. I don't really know exactly what listeria is, and I do want to get to that. But I want to get back to the actual product, this frozen pre-cooked pasta. This is not the breaking of the dry pasta that you put in boiling water, right? Is this like, they have those dishes that you kind of poke the holes in and it goes in the microwave for 2 minutes? Is this what we're talking about?
Yes, and they generally are sold ready to eat, Adam, and of course they can be frozen. Here's the challenge. So often we like to have convenience, and these products, these meals are very convenient. However, when you have a problem with one of the ingredients, again, if you look at the recall information, it's linguine, fettuccine, all of these pasta products made, and they have been used in a wide range of products, sold at a wide range of retailers. The minute you have particular ingredients potentially contaminated, you have this type of very, very broad recall. Years ago, there was a problem with peanut paste that was produced by one company, the Peanut Corporation of America. It was used in thousands of products. Granola bars, cookies, ice cream. And again, that's what's particularly challenging here. And of course, what often happens too is you don't realize until a problem arises how widespread it actually might be.
Yeah, are there specific brands that have been affected by this pasta recall here? I know we talked about ByHeart with the baby formula.
Yes.
Is it a specific brand that we should be looking at here?
It's a wide range. Again, they're used in ready-to-eat meals. They've used in some deli salads at some retailers. Again, your listeners should go to fda.gov and search for listeria, search for recalls, search for pasta, and it lists all the companies that are recalling their products made with these potentially contaminated pasta.
Sandra, you bring up the term listeria. I think there's a lot of people at home that don't know what it is. I'm one of those people that doesn't know exactly what it is. What exactly is listeria?
It's a pathogen like Salmonella, E. coli. The problem with listeria, well, these are all problems, but the challenges can be, number one, it can take weeks until you get sick. I think most of us assume if we have some tummy trouble, oh, it must have been something in the food I just ate. But that is not the case with listeria. It can be a number of weeks, number one. Number two, this particular pathogen is very serious for vulnerable populations, older people, pregnant women. It can cause stillbirth and miscarriage, and children. And certainly the hospitalization rate among older people like myself is about 50%. So it's a serious infection. And unfortunately, we've seen it over the years in more and more products. Certain pathogens, certain bacteria do well in certain environments. It's wet, it's dry, it's certain types of products. And what we're seeing is these bacteria are really smart and they want to survive. So they mutate and they all of a sudden can be in any food, it feels like, but we're certainly seeing it in certain pathogens in certain foods.
Grace, our producer, is putting up the symptoms of listeria there on the bottom line. I asked you the symptoms about botulism earlier. Can you just walk us through some of these symptoms if you think that you're experiencing listeria? And like you said, this is different than, your average, tummy ache after, maybe eating something that didn't necessarily agree with you. What should we be looking for if we think that we maybe have listeria?
Sure. I'm going to thank your producer for helping me out here. So things that you would normally associate with like a flu, right? Fever, muscle ache, nausea, headache, stiff neck. But certain of these symptoms, like, for example, stiff neck, is something you don't always see. So it's always a judgment call, but if you're feeling really poorly, call your doctor, go to the emergency room. Better safe than sorry. Unfortunately, in many instances, because the symptoms for a foodborne illness can be similar to other viruses and stuff, sometimes medical professionals get it wrong. So again, err on the side of being perhaps a little over concerned. If you have any of these symptoms, again, listeria is a very serious bacteria, foodborne illness.
Sandra, you're the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness. While we have you here, can you just tell us maybe some common things that you see in people's homes, or some stories that you hear of ways that food can become easily contaminated and we don't even necessarily know it just in our own homes?
That's a great question. Let me start with the situation where so often the food enters your house contaminated, whether it's these, pre-cooked noodles or infant formula, right? So I think one of the things you have to be very careful about is assume that you should be doing everything you can to minimize any potential contamination in a food. What that means is, we talk about hand washing, really important, before, during, after food prep. We talk about making sure that you cook food thoroughly. Use a meat thermometer. It just can't look done, it has to be done. But to your point, Adam, separate what you use, cutting boards, utensils, knives, what you use on raw meat and poultry, and what you use on other foods. The key here is you want to limit any cross-contamination. You cut up some chicken and you use the same cutting board to cut up produce for a salad. If the chicken's contaminated, then the salad is, and you're not going to cook the salad, right? Cooking thoroughly will kill most, if not all, contamination. Very common sense. Very many people do this anyway. But be mindful, every time you go into your kitchen, Cooking is fun, eating is more fun, but getting sick is not fun.
Those are good words of wisdom to live by. You just said there, sometimes you walk into your house and your food is already contaminated. In the instance of this baby formula, in the instance of this frozen pre-cooked pasta, how does the food become contaminated? Is it something with these companies, machines that they're using to mass produce it? Like, how does that happen?
Great question. It can happen any way possible. Let's look at a baby formula, right? Or any food. You have multiple ingredients. If your ingredient comes from something that's a produce item or whatever, it could be contaminated pre-processing, right? It was in the ground, the water was contaminated, the fertilizer was contaminated, whatever. So you have to understand that that's one clear route of contamination. Some contaminants are eliminated in processing sometimes. The other thing to keep in mind is companies work very hard to keep the facilities clean, as you noted, the equipment, the floors, the drains, the ceilings. But pathogens, let's look at listeria, love wet, cold environments. And the minute somehow listeria enters a facility, it easily becomes resident and it's very hard to get rid of. So again, it's the ingredients that go into products and it's the facilities where they are made. For that matter, it could be the truck that transports it, or it could be in the supermarket where it is sold. Again, everyone, including consumers, have an important role to play in making sure food is safe. It starts with the companies that produce the food.
Sandra, the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness, what got you into this line of work? Clearly, you have a real passion and a thorough, expansive knowledge of it. What got you interested in this?
I'm a lawyer by training. I realized early on that I was very interested in consumer protection. That's everything from financial services to cars to products and to food. And I'm going to quote one of my colleagues. Why do I work on food policy and food safety policy? Because everybody eats. It impacts everyone, number one. And number two, I do believe, I'm a lawyer by training, that I said it's the companies that make the food that are primarily responsible. But everybody would agree, I've seen this in poll after poll, that government has an important role to play in ensuring that those companies are doing what they need to do. So it was a practical, this is something that impacts everyone. And I will say one other thing, that I was working on other issues in 1993 when there was a major outbreak of this horrible E. coli linked to undercooked hamburgers in the Pacific Northwest, and 4 children died. And that was a wake-up call for so many people in industry and government that foodborne illness isn't just a tummy ache. So that really, really inspired me to say, you know what? I want to be part of this conversation. I want to make sure that everybody is doing what they need to do to ensure safe food.
We love it. Listen, everybody at home, you can find a list of recalled products. Again, quote me if I'm wrong here, Sandra, FDA.gov. You see it there. Grace just put it up on the bottom line. And then to learn more about your organization, Stop Foodborne Illness, Sandra, where can people go?
They can go to our website, www.stopfoodborneillness.org. The organization was started and continues to be driven by families who have experienced severe foodborne illness. Their goal is to make sure that no other family needs to suffer what they have suffered. It's an inspiration to me every day I go to work.
And the work that you're doing is very inspiring. You left us with a very inspirational quote. I think it's a good way to close this interview. What did you say? Cooking is fun. Finish it for me here.
Eating is even more fun, but getting sick is not. Yeah. I probably should add cleaning up the dishes may not be fun, but we know it has to be done. But yeah, it is just, there is so much more we can do to prevent these illnesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sandra Eskin, the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness. Sandra, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Adam, thanks for having me. And don't forget to use your meat thermometer in your Thanksgiving turkey.
Even if you like your steak rare, still use that meat thermometer, right?
Well, yeah, but I won't say anything about the rare steak, but I will say for sure you should use it. For sure.
No doubt. Sandra, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. What a great conversation there, and a very important conversation about learning about foodborne illnesses and being aware of baby formula products that are contaminated, frozen pre-cooked pasta dishes that are contaminated. As Sandra Eskin just said very eloquently there, you can go to FDA.gov and find the list of all the recalled products that are out there in the United States, just to be sure that you have clean, non-contaminated products in your home and you are cooking with things that you can trust and things that are not going to get you or your family sick. We are going to take a commercial break and we are going to come back with more right here on the afternoon shift. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back after this commercial break. Back to the afternoon shift. So pleased to be joined by my friend and Fox 9 sports anchor, Dawn Mitchell. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, before we get into the Vikings,
look at your shirt though.
See, this is the holy war in action right here. Dawn is a very proud Boston College grad. I went to Notre Dame. I was actually on your.
I'm shocked.
I was on your beautiful campus for the first time, folks out there. If you're looking to go for a weekend to go travel somewhere, you don't have to leave the United States. Go to Boston, Massachusetts. It's a beautiful city. Go to the North End. Go get yourself a cannoli. Go get yourself a great Italian meal, and go to BC's campus. What a gorgeous campus they have there. Gasson Hall. I mean, you just talk about all things that are just awesome. Alumni Stadium, beautiful. I was just thoroughly impressed with Boston College, and my first time there, it left a lasting legacy. It really
the
was
campus is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's funny because back in the day, so you said Gasson, there's the quad.
Yeah. So
there's Gasson, Devlin, Fulton, Lyons. Those are the four buildings.
Yeah.
And rumor has it's supposed to be God deserves full love. It's girls dig Flutie's legs.
Oh. Was Doug Flutie the court when you were there?
No, thank you.
Are you? Wait,
What do you think? I'm 80?
just asking.
No.
Yeah, what year did you graduate, BC?
I'm not telling you that.
You're not telling me.
No, I will have to kill you.
The Hail Mary was what, 93, 92, something like that, right? Or was that was in the 80s? Wasn't
I know
it?
it was Phelan. What was his first name? Gerard Phelan?
Probably.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
He was older than I was, but
Okay.
I do know the lore of Flutie. And I did go back to one of my reunions, and he was in a band playing.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
so I've met Doug Flutie. So
yeah.
yes.
No more Catholic school talk. I promise.
Thank you.
This was a fun. It was fun to do it for 2 minutes. Let's get on to let's get on to the game this weekend. The Bears and the Vikings. You're going to be there on Sunday at US Bank Stadium.
Yes, yes.
It's right here on Fox 9 beginning at noon. The pregame coverage 10 a.m. or something like that, right?
For all home games, it's 9:30. We do an
9:30.
hour and a half at home games.
Yeah.
So Vikings Game Day Live will start at 9:30.
Yeah.
We take you up to 11 when the network takes over, and when we're away, it's 1 hour from 10 to 11.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You'll be there. Listen, by all accounts, I think that this is sort of the line in the sand for the Vikings season. It feels that way. This feels like one that you have to get. You're favored at home. You look at after this week, 4 of the next 5 games are on the road, including the next 2 weeks at Green Bay, really tough game, at Seattle. Second place team in the NFC right now behind the Eagles, and obviously Sam Darnold probably going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in that game as well for all the history with the Vikings there. Do you see this game the same way as I do, as sort of the line in the sand for the season?
Well, I really saw it as last week. I really wanted to see what they would do last Sunday. But now that it's a division game, so yes, everything's so amped up. But what are you going to do against the Bears? Because you're 2-0 in the division coming into this. So it's kind of weird to say that like you're in the bottom looking up at the division, but you're 2-0, you know, if you're looking at overall records. So I really think that they really have to pull it together and show what they're made of, especially at home.
Yeah.
And especially so in the division. So it'll get interesting if they can beat the Bears and kind of get everything back on track. I mean, if they could be the same team that beat the Lions, like I was saying all last week, like I wish we could just cork what they had in Detroit and just unleash it.
Yeah.
But there were some issues. So it'll be interesting. Yes, I do think they need to really show who they are this weekend.
Yeah, and a big part of the success this weekend will be J.J. McCarthy. Limited in practice yesterday with the hand injury. Of course, he missed several weeks earlier this season with an ankle injury. You're expecting him to play, yeah?
Yeah, he was full participation today.
Okay, yep.
And what we did see from him today that we did not see yesterday is and I should say what we didn't see in the media allowed portions,
Okay,
right? Because
yes.
so, we have to make that clear because sometimes, it's totally different. But today, he did take a snap from center, and he did throw with his right hand. Now, it was bandaged up or padded, shall we call it, but enough to throw.
Yeah.
So yes, he said he got it squished in the helmet a little bit, like one of those incompletions to Jets, kind of like he said, slamming a car door on his hand. And so, when I see these guys on Mondays, it's like they've been through a car accident every weekend anyway. So, hopefully they can get that hand and where it's not, it's inside, so it's not going to be cold. It'd be a different story, I think, if you're in Chicago. But yeah, so fingers crossed. But he was full participation today.
This is like real news that's coming in. This is great. What else did you see at practice today?
Well, the interesting thing is what Justin Jefferson said after practice. So I don't know if you guys are on Instagram or anything like this. Like, I'm a ninja
What's your Instagram
teenager.
handle, Dawn?
Dawn AT, so Dawn but AT Fox 9.
Yes.
Dawn, both on I still call it Twitter. Sorry, Twitter and Instagram. So Jets, the NFL has resurrected his one-handed catch from Kirk Cousins against Buffalo 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they put it on social media. And so he put it on his Instagram stories. And his exact quote was, "I need to get back to year 3 Jets." And where he comes up, he climbs the ladder, hauls it down, and brings that in. And he said he was a little frustrated after Sunday's game. So he, I think we'll see a motivated Justin Jefferson. Someone asked him, chasing down guys after you've been intercepted. I mean, that's hard. But you've got to do that. You've got to, be focused. You've got to become year 3 Jets. So if he can rewind the clock 3 years and be that way, but also, how accurate is J.J. McCarthy like Kirk Cousins was, right? And this is no knock on J.J. McCarthy. Like, he even said the last game, this is only my 4th game in the NFL. You know, if he can be accurate and he can throw a bomb to Jets, I think Jets is motivated and mad to haul them down this week.
I know that Chicago coach Ben Johnson's going to be pretty motivated for this game as well. Man, the Bears, they started 0-2. They're 6-1 since then. And, you know, if they would have just kept it together in that 4th quarter, this is no disrespect to the Vikings, the Chicago Bears would be like one of the leading teams right now, best records in the whole NFL. I know that they're probably feeling a little salty about how things went down in that Week 1 game. Now they're 6-1.
But come on, Week 1 is still like preseason, right? That's what I always say. You know, since preseason is so short, that's their Week 1. You can't really be salty about it. Now, they probably because it's a division game, but everyone's feeling it out that way. But they're going to be extra motivated to come in here for sure. And the way Caleb Williams is playing, he has found his wheels. You know, we knew Ben Johnson, all he needed to do was get into a groove. And if he could do what he did with the Lions, then look out. And I think I think DJ Moore and some of the other wide receivers were saying he has been given permission to use his legs. Not that he didn't have permission before, but I think, you know, when a coach comes in and you take your skill set and let's work with what he has. Caleb is working with what he has. So you've seen 5 out of the last 6 games they've come down with W, so it's pretty big. That's right.
It's going to be a very tough opponent. I think a lot of people at home would like to know, Don, do you think that the Vikings will make the playoffs this year? Is that your kind of assessment on them? I know you don't want to put predictions on things, but
even before any of this happened, where JJ got hurt again, and then all of a sudden they had to bring another backup, and all of this rigmarole that we're going through. Let's just say when JJ McCarthy left training camp and he was healthy and he was the number one, I still wasn't sure if they would make it to the playoffs. And this is not a knock on the team. It's not a knock on JJ, but you see it around the league, a rookie. And he's the second year, and I know people get mad about that. He's a rookie in playing. He's a rookie in playing. And so you need to let him take his lumps. You need to let him find out what his cadence is. It's totally different from when he was at Michigan. He just handed the ball off, not all the time, but pretty much. It's a whole different set of schemes offensively with KO. I wasn't even sure if they could make it this year. You see what Drake May is doing with the Patriots.
Unbelievable. And they play tonight.
Yeah, and he did not light it up his first 2 years. So, JJ has missed a lot being injured, which is why I was a little scared about this hand. But if it's a bumps and bruise, but when it's on your throwing hand, you got to keep your fingers crossed. But, he's been injury prone. And can he get on track? So that's a long way of saying I don't know. They'll show me a lot in this stretch coming up, but it may be a learning year. Once Carson Wentz went down and JJ was okay to come on and play, you knew that he was going to have to start again. So I don't know.
Who is QB2 at this point right now for them?
Maxx Brosmer right now.
Maxx Brosmer would be QB2 for them.
Yeah.
How should I know Vikings fans know him well.
He has no experience, so you're in the same situation. Yeah. And not that not a knock on Maxx Brosmer, but an undrafted free agent, never has played in a real NFL regular season game. And that's what you have for your 1 and your 2. Yeah. So,
no bigger cheerleader for Maxx Brosmer than my co-anchor Max Fuller.
Yeah.
Loves Maxx Brosmer. He's been singing his praises since the preseason.
He is the most prepared quarterback I have seen, and this is even some veterans. Especially for a young guy that's fighting for his job. He comes in and he knows, just like Nick Mullins. The backup has to know, but he goes and he watches film and he knows. So I've been impressed by that. But backups sometimes are backups for a reason, right? Like you can be head smart and this and that, but when you're taking live bullets, when what was that Eisenhower quote? When you're the man in the arena, it's totally different.
It is different,
and you have to learn who you are in those moments, and that only comes from playing.
Yeah. I think I love that quote and the Mike Tyson quote. He said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah. And it's true with football, too. I mean, you can have all the plans you want, but when you get under center, it's a little bit of a different game there.
Yeah, then when you can have scripted plays. Once you get off script, there was some talk last week about why there are so many false starts is, the defense gets to play a game too, right? And so whether they weren't quite sure if they were hearing JJ's voice or one of the other guys' voice on defense, you have to get into a flow that way. So, we're not going to hear Omaha, Omaha. But, like when you hear some dominant quarterback voices, you hear those voices.
Yeah. Shout out to Peyton Manning with the Omaha quote there. We loved it. Let's briefly, we talked about Max Brosmer, his alma mater, Grace's alma mater. They're on Fox 9 tomorrow night. By all accounts, I would say outside of the Ohio State game, the next biggest game of the season. Oregon is ranked number 8. Autzen Stadium, worldly renowned, tough place to play. Huge point spread. Just sort of your predictions for the Gophers tomorrow. 8 o'clock on Fox 9 tomorrow night.
Okay, so I'm going to be optimistic on this in terms of they have to get back to their defense, how they played before, and they have to play sound. They can't go willy-nilly on offense. Not that they ever do, but they have to play sound on offense. But their defense has to play probably one of the best games of their lives.
Yeah, and a huge game for Oregon, coming off a huge win at Iowa, and then they got USC coming to their house next week, so this could be maybe a little bit of a look-ahead spot for the Ducks. Let's stick with some Minnesota sports here, Dawn.
Yeah.
Byron Buxton, by all accounts, him, Joe Ryan, 2 best players on the Minnesota Twins. He's been on record saying he wants to be a Twin for life, saying that he never wants to waive his no-trade clause. Sources have been saying earlier this week that he might be singing a different song with this overhaul of the team. How should Twins fans just kind of be feeling about this whole situation?
See, right now, when there's so much going on, you don't know how much is coming from Byron's camp or what Byron's being told from the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Byron really means it when he at the beginning of last year, and it was all through the season, was kind of emotional when I asked him in the locker room, in the clubhouse, about coming back and having this resurgent year. And he was saying how much he not only loved the fans and how they embrace him and the person that he's become with the Twins, but the ownership. And also now Rocco's gone, right? So once you take out that, but now Shelton is there. Shelton's been there before. What is their reputation? But I always say, whenever someone comes out and says like, "Hey, if I ever came out and said Adam is my guy," if I'm ever at a press conference and I'm like, "Adam is my guy," Adam's getting fired.
Oh.
Like I'm telling you, go through any press conference. If you have to say who's my guy, they're getting fired. So you don't know if it's Byron saying, "Oh, I don't know, I want out." I don't think he changes his tune, but there might be changes made. So I don't listen to a lot of the gossip. And when a guy tells me heart to heart, face to face, that he loves it here and he wants to be a Twin for life, I mean, you feel that in the moment, but it's also professional sports. Yeah. So we don't know what else has transpired after that. Yeah. They could be saying, "You know what, Byron, we love you, but,
100%.
Like, we have to move you."
Yeah,
so
100%. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Have you ever had any interactions with Robbie Shelton, the new Twins manager?
Just saying hi when he was here before as a bench coach. No, not a lot. And I'm really looking forward to it. His family looks great. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. From what I do know from people behind the scenes, that he was really the guy that people loved back there, and he and Rocco were close. So, he was kind of part of the ship that made it sail, so to speak. Not to take a Vikings term, but so it'll be good to see what he can do. But you're kind of getting a Rocco 2.0 with a little more like. Rocco had personality, but he was more zen. Yeah. So you're kind of getting a Rocco 2.0 in terms of philosophy, but. His personality is really good, so I think fans will be happy.
He was the Twins bench coach
until they start losing. And then they won't be happy. It's a business, so.
Of course.
But as a person, they'll like him. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe he can turn it around.
Of course. Who was your favorite Red Sox player growing up? Just to end out this conversation.
Oh my goodness, my favorite Red Sox player growing up, Pudge Fisk was one of them.
Is this different than Carlton Fisk, or we're talking about the same guy?
Same guy.
Same guy. This is the Stay Fair.
We call him Pudge.
Pudge Fisk. Okay.
We call him Pudge. And God, there were so many. Louis Tiant. These are when I was little. Louis Tiant, and then when I got older and covered them, so that was kind of cool too to see a lot of the players there too. I never met Yaz or any of that. I was way too young for that. But my family, I think I've mentioned this to you. Growing up, 4 brothers, they would. And this is why I know all those names. I still have a Jim Rice, Papa Gino's glass at my house.
Of course.
Now, everything's etched out, so you can't see his name, and you can't see, like, Major League Baseball, whatever. You just see this guy with a fro.
Yeah.
People are like, who is who's this? It's like they go in they take a glass out, and I'm like, that's Jim Ed.
Yeah.
That's Jim Rice. And they're like, we don't know who this guy with the fro is. So Papa Jim's would give them all out. And so Jim Rice I grew up loving, but my brothers would sit there. My mom went back to work, and we sat around the dinner. We still all had to sit around like, blue bloods and have dinner, right? Yeah. And they would quiz me. Yeah. I'm like, what was the starting rotation for the 19 blah, blah, blah Red Sox? And if I did not know the pitching rotation, they'd be like, take away her mashed potatoes. And they would take my food.
Oh, okay. Gosh, they'd take away your dinner if you didn't know the Red Sox
That's
player.
right. My brother, and when my other brothers would lean in and scoop up my mashed potatoes from my plate. And so, if I got something wrong, they would take my food.
Yeah.
Tell them my stories to our parents later, because they were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. My mom goes, no wonder you were so thin growing up. I'm like, I learned sports and I can live. I can eat to live another day.
Amazing. Of course, we can't mention afros without thinking about Max Fuller, who normally sits in this chair. Mm-hmm. For those that at home don't know Jim Rice, one of the greatest baseball players to ever live, one of the greatest Red Sox, got the Red Sox to the World Series in the ALCS, hit a home run off of Donnie Moore, the California Angels. Of course, that '86 World Series didn't go the Red Sox way. That was the famous Bill Buckner World Series in Game 6. We don't have to get into all of that.
Yeah, that's my painful childhood. But I will tell you that there was a radio station I was growing up, WBCN, and they would drive a hearse around Fenway Park when they were officially out of the playoffs, and they would call it the Wake.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, people are nicer here.
People are nicer here. Yeah. Next time I'll bring you back a cannoli from Mike's. Mike's Pastries in the north end.
Mike's Pastry, yeah. And a big old slice of pizza that you can fold in half.
Yes.
Where toppings are on the top. I'm sorry. I know that's controversial here in the Midwest. I had this conversation with my friend from Minnesota. I go, toppings should be on the top of the cheese. And that's what they call toppings. He's like, I never thought of that. I go, not under the cheese, not cut in squares. It has to be a slice with toppings on top.
Awesome. All the way from the north end, as they say in Boston.
It's wicked good.
It's wicked good. And you're wicked good too, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us here. We really appreciate your time.
Adam.
Appreciate it
your
very
hands
much.
are warm. Mine are freezing.
Whoa, it is kind of cold in this building. But you brought the warmth and the sunshine here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are going to have more to come from the afternoon shift right after this. Don't go anywhere. back to the afternoon shift. Dawn Mitchell, she was great. She's filling in for Jim Rich tonight on the Fox 9 News. So check her out for the all the sports coverage that you need. And, of course, she will be at U.S. Bank Stadium covering the Vikings this Sunday. The game starts at noon against the Bears right here on Fox 9 pregame coverage beginning at 9:30. Okay, we're going to replay back a conversation that we had at the top of today's show, with University of Minnesota political science professor Dr. Kathryn Pearson, all about the ending of the record 43-day-long government shutdown. Let's take a look at that interview. Here to tell us more is University of Minnesota political science professor Dr. Kathryn Pearson. Dr. Pearson, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
Thank you. Great to be with you.
It's great to be with you, too. Dr. Pearson, there might not be a better person in the state to talk to about this. You wrote a book called Party Discipline in the House of Representatives. You're an expert on all things House. What took the House so long to finally get this bill passed? It seemed like the Senate had passed it over the weekend or on Monday. It wasn't until Wednesday when the House was finally able to push it through. What took them so long?
That's right. Well, the House has been out of session since September 19th. During the shutdown, the Senate was in session for many of the days, continually voting on the continuing resolution, and the House had just been out of session. So it was really senators that brought this shutdown to a close, and then many House members needed to get back to Washington. Of course, there were flight delays, and so that's why it took a couple of more days for the House to come over. But it was really, the Senate that worked out this deal.
I think there's probably a lot of people at home wondering, why was the House out of session for 50 days? This government shutdown was happening. Shouldn't they have been there kind of working tirelessly to try to figure this out, to help people that were missing out on SNAP payments, to help out the TSA agents and to help out the air traffic controllers? Why was it that they were out of session for 50 days?
Well, that is a great question because, this isn't the first government shutdown that we've had. It's the longest. But in previous government shutdowns, both the House and the Senate were in session, in part negotiating, but in part just doing other business. Committees haven't met in a very long time, and there's still a lot of work that the Congress needs to do. And so the House could have been in session as the Senate was during the shutdown, both to negotiate over shutdown-related issues and to just do the normal work of Congress. And then, of course, there was the Democratic Congresswoman Grijalva from Arizona elected in a special election that couldn't be sworn in until the House got back in session. According to Speaker Johnson, though, that whether or not she could have been sworn in was certainly debatable, and the House could have come back into session much earlier to swear her in.
I do want to get back from the newest member of the House of Representatives from Arizona, but I'll save that for the end. Just sticking with the government shutdown here. Grace and I, we were talking about before you came on, it seems like the resolution that they passed yesterday, much more of a Band-Aid than an actual long-term solution for funding the government. Can you tell people why this is more of a Band-Aid? Because from my understanding, this really only funds the government for the next 75 days or so.
That's right. So annually, Congress needs to pass 12 appropriations bills by October 1st to keep the government open. It had passed none of those. And so the continuing resolution was just aimed to keep the government funded at sort of the same level until November 20th. That was the original proposal that the House passed and Senate didn't pass. And so this bill that has been passed and signed into law is another continuing resolution through January 30th for 9 of those bills. And then it included 3 year-long till October 1st next year appropriations bills for agriculture, veterans, and legislative branch to pay congressional staffers. So if there is a shutdown on January 30th, it will be 9/12 of the government because those 3 appropriation bills were included in the legislation that President Trump signed last night. So this very much could happen again on January 30th with most federal agencies, except for those under the 3 bills that have been passed.
What do our elected Congress members need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again at the end of January, that we can just have a normal working, functioning, funded government so people aren't working, on back pay or furloughed or whatnot?
And wondering if they're going to be paid. Well, that is a great question. And so the shutdown occurred because it was Democrats only leverage with Republicans over the issue of Obamacare, Affordable Care Act subsidies, which expire on December 31st. And so I think politically, to avoid another shutdown, Democrats and Republicans are going to have to come together to sort of work out some sort of health care bill that both parties can support. Whether or not that can happen remains to be seen. You know, Democrats had been saying we're not going to reopen the government unless this is taken care of, and Republicans were saying we're not even going to talk about healthcare until the government is reopened. And on that score, Republicans definitely won because the Affordable Care Act subsidies were not addressed. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, has promised a vote, but the promise of a vote is no guarantee of passage.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people today debating which side won this. One side that definitely did not win this were all the workers that weren't getting paid, that are working on back pay, that were furloughed. What happens to these federal employees? Are they going to get their full paychecks? What does this mean for them going forward?
They will. They will get their full paycheck. And in fact, one of the provisions of the bill was actually to rehire those that had actually been laid off or RIFed during the government shutdown, which is not supposed to happen. So some federal employees were actually laid off. No federal employees got paychecks. So now they will get back pay going forward. But this is just a terribly sort of uncertain way for federal employees to live. And sort of as they think about their careers in public service, my fear is that we will lose skilled and experienced federal workers who just don't want to go through this again.
Dr. Kathryn Pearson from the University of Minnesota's Department of Political Science. Dr. Pearson, like I said at the top, you wrote a book called Party Discipline in the House of Representatives. Can you talk about your time working potentially closely with members of the House of Representatives, working inside Congress? What's it like, sort of the inner workings there? There are shows that we've all seen, House of Cards, among others, where you're kind of able to get a little bit of an inside scoop as to the inner workings of politicians in Washington. What's it really like from your experience?
Well, one of the things that is absolutely dominating Capitol Hill right now is partisan polarization. The two parties have been moving farther apart from one another ideologically since the 1970s, and party leaders have gotten more power during that time period. But what you're really seeing today is just sort of partisan polarization gone amok. Bipartisanship is very, very difficult in Congress. And even in a situation that we're in now, where Republicans control the White House and then have majority party control in the House and Senate, because of the Senate filibuster, the Republicans still need Democratic support for most legislation, including government funding bills. And so that, is some of the issues that Republicans can't just pass any legislation that they'd like and send it to the president, that in the Senate, they do need some Democratic support, unless we're talking about a reconciliation bill, which is not what we're talking about in terms of the government shutdown. So I think partisan politics has always been a factor on Capitol Hill, but today it is just really corrosive, and members of the two parties are just not working together. And the result is, among other things, the government shutdown that we just witnessed.
Yeah, and you just said there that this sort of bipartisanship kind of started coming to a halt in the 1970s. Can you take us back to that time? I'm sure we have some viewers that can remember a time maybe before that when things were kind of working a little bit more fluidly. I'm just trying to think of my own sort of knowledge here in the 70s. You had obviously President Kennedy and his assassination, and then President Lyndon Baines Johnson, and then of course would you say Richard Nixon? Was that sort of the beginning of the time of these sort of hyper partisan politics, if you will?
Yes, with an important caveat that committees used to have a lot more power in Congress than they have today. We think about sort of how legislation is written and how it's structured, and committee chairs and committees did most of the work. Committees, of course, still do some work and meet today, though not that much in the last few months. But for the most part, party leaders just have much more power than they used to, and so they do things in a more partisan manner. And Democrats made some important reforms in the 1970s to give party leaders more power. They sort of did this on purpose to have a more cohesive Democratic Party and send Democratic president sort of liberal legislation. Republicans followed suit when they gained majority party control of the House in the 1994 elections by really consolidating power in the hands of Republican leaders like then Speaker Newt Gingrich. And so this sort of interplay between party leaders and committee chairs, his favored party leaders for a while, but we're definitely seeing the results of that right now.
I love hearing those names and kind of going back to the history. I love sort of the history of sort of Washington's inner workings. I want to go back to something that you said at the beginning of this interview. You brought up the newest member of the House of Representatives, the representative from Arizona. Obviously, she was a critical swearing in that also happened yesterday. Kind of got buried under the lead of reopening the government and whatnot. But I know that she was a very important part of this of this Jeffrey Epstein situation as well. Can you talk a little bit about sort of her importance in that case too?
Absolutely. So for the most part, party leaders, majority party leaders, have agenda control in the House in terms of what bills come up. And so Republican Party leaders do not want to bring up the legislation to release all of the Epstein files. There's one way around that agenda control, and it's called a discharge petition. And in order for a discharge petition to dislodge a bill from committee, it needs a simple majority or 218 signatures. And it's really hard for discharge petitions to get 218 signatures because that means that some majority party members have to sign on. And majority party leaders don't want their members to sign on because then they lose control of the agenda. And so a few Republicans had already signed on, so it was up to 217. And so Representative Grijalva is the 218th signature. So it will still take at least a week for the bill to release the Epstein files to come to the House floor because the discharge petition has some sort of procedural requirements of waiting. But assuming that happens, Representative Grijalva was that critical 218th signature on the discharge petition to bring the bill to the floor.
That was Dr. Kathryn Pearson from the University of Minnesota's Department of Political Science, providing some perspective on the government shutdown. We are going to go to commercial break, and then we are going to wrap up this Thursday show right after this. Don't go anywhere. Afternoon shift. We're going to round out today's episode by asking ourselves a question, and maybe you can ask it to yourself at home there. What's something that you learned today that maybe you didn't know? Grace, let's start with you. What's something that you learned during today's show that you didn't know?
It's always a good reminder of the food safety. I think it's something that a lot of us forget or neglect at times, but it's so important. I was thinking back to last night. We made chicken piccata last night, and we used the tongs for our chicken, and I was thinking, I think we cross-contaminated it. Like, we put it on there, like raw chicken, then we took it off using those same unwashed tongs. So I'm a little grossed out at myself for that, but that's always such a good reminder, especially, you know, with, you know, all the outbreaks that have been happening, to just be very conscientious of the way that you treat your food, and to make sure that you're eliminating cross-contamination as much as you can. What about you, Adam? What have you learned?
Yeah, and the CEO of Stop Foodborne Illness, Miss Sandra Eskin, would not be happy with the chicken piccata preparation.
Not.
No,
she would not.
She was very animated. I really like talking to her. I also really like talking to Amy Ronneberg, the CEO of NMDP. That was an excellent booking by you, Grace. That was awesome to get her.
That was Paul.
It was all Paul. Great job, Paul. It was great to get her on the show. And I think the biggest thing I learned from that is I'm right now in sort of that prime age range of what they're looking for. They're looking for people between the ages of 18 and 35 to donate bone marrow to really help save a life. And because of the research that they have, now everybody, no matter your race, your creed, your gender, none of it, like, you have a higher chance of being matched with somebody, and you have a higher chance of really saving somebody's life. And there's no racial barriers to it anymore. An additional 8,879 lives were saved. The CEO, Amy Ronneberg, she gave us, and the graphic is right there, nmdp.org. It's the world's largest website of potential donors for bone marrow transplants to really help save somebody's life. So if you're like me, if you're like Grace, if you're within our age bracket, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, I had a family friend growing up who had leukemia, and her brother actually donated bone marrow and ended up saving her life. So it is, you know, I've seen this firsthand of how amazing, you know, how amazing the work that a donor does, and how amazing this organization does, because they went through Be the Match. But yeah, I mean, we had a great show today. We've got Kelsey and Simone. You know, the 5 o'clock news is starting in just about 30 seconds.
Yes, it really has been a great show. We've done so much. My colleague Max, he'd be trying to come up with some sort of alliteration here, and I'm really trying to do it. I don't know. Maybe it was I'm struggling here. I leave it to Max. Max is more quick on his toes. Like Grace said, it's Kelsey and Simone at the desk. The 5 o'clock news from Fox 9 is about to start. Thank you on behalf of everyone at the afternoon shift. The news starts right now.
This is Fox 9 News at 5.
And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at 5 o'clock. I'm Kelsey Carlson.
And I'm Simone Woolridge. Here's a look at some of the stories we are following today.